Hello and welcome back, everyone. If you're an older gentleman who's ever found himself wondering whether a younger woman is genuinely interested in you, this video is for you. So many men miss the subtle signs, not because they're oblivious or out of touch, but because the signals younger women send aren't always loud or obvious. In fact, they're often carefully measured, respectful, even rooted in something deeper than flirtation. You see, younger women who are drawn to older men often feel a need to prove they belong in your world. It's not about playing games. It's about admiration. It's about wanting to be seen as someone who matches your experience, your stability, your calm confidence. Today, we're going to walk through the quiet but meaningful ways younger women show interest and why older men so often overlook them. So stay with me until the end, because by the time we're done, you'll start noticing things you've likely missed for years. There's a common misunderstanding that quietly eats away at the confidence of many older men, a belief that youth is the ultimate currency in attraction, and that once it fades, their value in the dating world disappears with it. They look in the mirror and see lines they didn't have 10 years ago, a slower pace, a change in energy. But what they often fail to see is how much more attractive they've actually become in the eyes of a certain kind of woman. The kind who has started to realize that charm isn't measured by muscle tone or trendiness, but by presence, depth, and emotional clarity. Younger women don't always say it aloud, but many of them carry a deep appreciation for older men who walk into a room with quiet confidence and calm strength. It's not about being flashy or trying to keep up with youth culture. In fact, the more an older man tries to act younger than he is, the more awkward the dynamic becomes. What she notices instead is how composed he is in uncomfortable moments, how he doesn't flinch when silence fills the space, and how he listens without interrupting or feeling the need to impress. She sees in him a kind of emotional intelligence that men her age often haven't developed. Yet an older man's appeal doesn't lie in pretending to be something he's not. It lies in owning exactly who he is when he speaks with conviction, rather than hesitation when he moves with purpose, instead of second-guessing himself when he tells a story not to be funny or clever, but simply because it meant something to him. That's when she leans in. That's when she listens more closely, not because he's louder, but because he's more real. Women respond to groundedness, and when that groundedness comes from a place of experience, not ego, it becomes magnetic. The mistake many older men make is thinking they need to apologize for their age. They overcompensate. They use humor to make light of their gray hair or groan about their knees, as if they're asking to be dismissed before they even start. But what this really communicates is discomfort with who they've become, and discomfort, especially when wrapped in self-deprecating jokes, doesn't make a woman feel safe. It makes her feel like she's talking to someone who hasn't accepted himself yet. And if he hasn't, why should she? A man who apologizes for his age becomes forgettable. But a man who owns his age with pride becomes intriguing when he talks about the lessons he's learned, not as warnings but as insights, when he references his past, not to relive it, but to show he's moved through it. He becomes someone she instinctively respects. His years don't age him in her eyes. They elevate him. The truth is, many younger women don't just tolerate older men. They admire them. They find something appealing in a man who knows how to stay calm when plans fall apart, who doesn't play emotional games, who values his time and energy and protects it. They're drawn to a man who's lived long enough to know what he wants, and wise enough not to chase. What he doesn't need, his presence, becomes a kind of steady rhythm in a world that moves too fast, too loud, too disconnected. When an older man enters a relationship without needing to be validated, when he doesn't need constant reassurance or performative affection, he becomes a rare find. He's not there to compete with youth. He's there to offer something deeper, and in that space, he often becomes more desirable than the very men who once had youth on their side, but lack the insight to know what to do with it. So the real question isn't whether younger women find older men attractive. The question is whether those men are willing to stop hiding behind doubt and start standing in their experience, because when they do, they often find that they don't have to chase anyone. The right woman will already be watching and wondering what it feels like to be seen by someone who doesn't need to prove anything. And when that happens, you'll start to notice clear signs from her subtle but meaningful signals a young woman uses to show she plates you interest. Sign 1. She plates you. There's a subtle language. Some women speak not with grand declarations or emotional outbursts, but with quiet nods and soft echoes of your own words. Especially with younger women, it can show up in moments that seem insignificant on the surface. She laughs at a joke you didn't think was that funny. She quickly agrees when you name a favorite film, a song, or a restaurant. You say Italian food, and she lights up. Oh my God, me too. Whether it's real enthusiasm or gentle mimicry, it's not just a coincidence. Many men overlook these small interactions, mistaking them for politeness or flirtation. But when a woman defers to your preferences in small choices or echoes your opinions more than her own, she's not necessarily being insincere. She's communicating something deeper, something ancient and instinctive. It's not about pretending to be someone she's not. It's about yielding in a way that feels safe and respectful to her. Not out of fear, but admiration. A younger woman, especially when attracted to an older man, often expresses her interest through this gentle submission. She lets you lead the conversation not because she has nothing to say, but because she's giving you space to be the man. She lets you choose the music on the drive because it pleases her to see you enjoy what you love. She's not hiding her own thoughts. She's signaling that she's open to being influenced by you. And in today's world where independence is prized, this behavior often gets misunderstood or dismissed as superficial, but it isn't. The truth is that many women find comfort in a man who seems to know where he's going, and when they feel safe enough to soften their edges, they do. They relax the need to control or compete, and instead lean into the quiet strength of trust. That trust often manifests in ways that can feel small to an untrained eye. But to the man who understands, they're anything but small. When she says, whatever you feel like, she's not being indecisive. She's watching to see if you'll step forward with direction. If you do, and you do it with calm confidence, she'll likely follow happily. There's also the matter of admiration. Many women, consciously or not, are drawn to men who carry the energy of certainty. Age alone isn't enough. It's about how you hold yourself, how you speak, how you listen when you express a viewpoint. She may agree not because she lacks her own, but because she's impressed by how grounded you are in yours. That's not weakness, that's respect. And when you pay attention, you'll notice her body language shifts too. She leans in just slightly when you speak. She watches your hands when you talk. She gives more than surface smiles. She offers real presence. These are not just social cues. These are signals of trust and quiet admiration. Still, it's important not to exploit this dynamic. A wise man doesn't take her agreement as blind loyalty or naive. He sees it for what it is, a gift of feminine respect, offered when she senses she's in the presence of someone she doesn't need to guard herself against. She's not giving up her opinions. She's choosing to give your words more space. That's not submission from weakness. That's a recognition of strength in time. As the connection deepens, she may open up more of her own mind. Her own passions and her voice will grow more confident beside yours. But it begins here with her quiet alignment to your choices, her unexpected enthusiasm for your interests, her gentle deferring in the name of trust, and the man who notices, who honors that softness with respect, instead of arrogance, becomes the kind of man she won't forget, not because he demanded power, but because he carried it so naturally that she didn't need to question where they were going. She was simply glad to go there with. She uses intel at talk him sign, too. She uses intel-let talk. There is a subtle shift that happens in the way she speaks. When she feels the need to be taken seriously by a man who seems to live in a different emotional or intellectual world, you'll notice it not in what she says, but in how carefully she selects her words, how intentionally she shapes her thoughts to sound older, deeper, more refined. It's not an accident. It's not random. It's her way of trying to earn space in a world she admires, but feels slightly too young to belong to. She moves away from casual slang, replacing it with language that seems borrowed from literature, philosophy, or the polished tone of someone who's lived more years than she has. Suddenly she's quoting lines from authors she may have only recently discovered, or referencing films or cultural ideas that were likely more a part of your generation than hers. You might hear her say things like, "That reminds me of something I read in a Kimu essay." Or, "I've always thought Kierkegaard had an interesting take on this. These statements aren't random. They're strategic. They are her way of signaling that she can meet you where you are. This kind of deliberate intellectual performance is often a quiet compliment. She doesn't speak this way with everyone with her peers. Her tone might be more relaxed, her vocabulary less guarded, but around you she switches gears. She slows her speech slightly, gives herself a second longer to craft a thought, and introduces a vocabulary that makes her sound more mature than she likely feels. You'll see her lean into seriousness, not because she doesn't enjoy laughter, but because she wants to be seen as capable of depth. She's trying to convince you, and maybe also herself, that the age gap doesn't make her irrelevant, that her youth doesn't mean she lacks substance. What she's doing is a kind of psychological shape-shifting. She's adjusting her language to mirror yours because she believes your respect lives in the space of intellect, insight, and restraint. She doesn't want to be seen as a girl who's merely playful or charming. She wants to be seen as a woman who can hold her own beside you, who understands nuance and can navigate complexity and truth. This isn't just about words. It's about her effort to belong. When a woman uses what might be called intelli talk, she's reaching for acceptance in the most vulnerable way possible, through conversation. It's a soft audition for emotional credibility. She hopes you'll notice not just what she's saying, but the care with which she says it. Because beneath it all, she's wondering if you'll see past her age and into the richness of who she is becoming. What makes it so quietly powerful is that it's not manipulation, it's an aspiration. She's not trying to deceive you. She's trying to rise to meet the man she sees in you, the one who values insight over impulse, thoughtfulness over flair. She believes your world is built on experience, and though she doesn't have the same mileage, she's willing to stretch herself just to feel closer to you. And in doing so, she's telling you without ever saying it outright that you matter to her. You may not realize how often she edits herself before she speaks. You may not hear the words she chooses not to say. But behind every carefully placed sentence is a desire to show you that she can understand you, that she belongs in your orbit, not as an admirer from afar, but as someone capable of being seen as your equal. She's not afraid of your age. She's afraid of her own being mistaken for inexperience or worse, shallowness, and so she brings her best language forward, not because she's trying to be someone else, but because you've inspired her to be a version of herself that is wiser, more expressive, and more refined than she knew she could be. It's one of the subtlest but most touching signs of respect. A younger woman can offer a man she looks up to, not through flattery or flirtation, but through conversation that attempts to meet his mind, not just his eyes, and that more than any compliment says, she sees something in you, worth rising. She becomes more serious around you. Towards sign 3. She becomes more serious around you. There are moments when a woman's feelings for a man reveal themselves, not in what she says, but in how subtly she changes around him. It's not always laughter or flirtation that signals interest. Sometimes it's the exact opposite. She becomes more composed, reserved, even deliberate. The playful tone fades, the breezy persona she shows around. Others disappears the moment you walk into the room. And it's not because she's hiding who she is. It's because she wants to be seen differently, more precisely, more seriously. This shift is often misunderstood. A younger woman interested in an older man doesn't always lean into flirtation or bold gestures. Instead, she recalibrates her presence. She's careful, thoughtful. She may avoid the clothes that once made her feel young and carefree. Mini-skirts, loud patterns, trendy, accessories, and instead choose outfits that feel more polished or mature, not because she's ashamed of her youth, but because she doesn't want to be mistaken for someone who's just passing through his world. She wants to be taken seriously, not indulged like a wide-eyed girl playing at romance. A woman once confessed that when she developed feelings for a man nearly 15 years her senior, she stopped dressing like she did around her peers. She ditched the bold lipstick and the playful skirts, and chose neutral tones and structured jackets. She wanted to be noticed, but not for the reasons most assumed. She didn't want to be seen as someone fun to have around. She wanted to be seen as someone worth building something with. And she knew that meant showing the side of herself that was thoughtful, grounded, and capable of standing shoulder to shoulder with someone who had lived more life than she had. But here's the key. This version of her isn't how she acts with everyone. It's not a wholesale change in her personality or style. It's a selective transformation that only happens when he's present around her friends. She still laughs easily. She still twirls and dresses and jokes about nothing. But around him, the lightness is tempered by intention. She listens more, speaks less impulsively. Her humor becomes more restrained, her gaze more focused. It's not about hiding who she is, it's about showing him the parts of her she thinks will resonate with his depth. She's not playing a role, she's making a choice. And that choice speaks to something deeper than momentary attraction. She's saying, without words, I want to be the kind of woman you can take seriously. That kind of shift doesn't happen for just anyone. It happens for the man she hopes will see her as more than charming. It happens for the man she sees as substance. And that's exactly what makes it so easy to miss. Most men are trained to look for signs of attraction that are loud, overt, and unmistakable. But this one is quiet, soft-spoken, intentional. It shows up in her posture, in her tone, in the way she doesn't try to impress but instead tries to steady herself. If you're not paying attention, you might mistake her seriousness for indifference. But it's the opposite. It's respect wrapped in restraint. This behavior doesn't mean she's changed forever. Often it's temporary. It's context-bound. It emerges only when she's near the man she feels the need to elevate herself around her more carefree self. Still exists. It just waits until she feels fully accepted, until she knows that he sees her not as a girl, pretending to be something more, but as a woman already becoming it. When a woman tempers her lightness and reshapes her presence around you, she's not pulling away. She's leaning in carefully. She's saying, I want to be seen through your eyes, and I want what you see to be worth remembering. That's not performance, that's reverence. And the man who understands the difference won't overlook it. He'll see the quiet shift for what it truly is, a whispered invitation to take her seriously, because she already takes him that way. She downplays her immaturity. Sign 4. She downplays her immaturity. There's something telling about the way a younger woman speaks when she's around a man who carries himself with quiet certainty. She knows he's not easily impressed by loud entrances or chaotic stories from late nights out. And because of that, she begins to reshape the way she presents her past, not through lies, but through carefully edited truths. Instead of proudly sharing tales of her wild college parties or impulsive adventures, she smiles and says things like, I don't party like that anymore. Or, I used to drink a lot, but now I prefer wine nights at home. She's not just making small talk. She's signaling something deeper. She's showing a desire to align herself with your pace and rhythm. When a man seems calm, composed, and rooted, a woman who is younger or still finding her way may feel the need to meet him where he is. And often that means presenting herself as more settled than she truly feels. It's not manipulation, it's aspiration. She wants to be someone you can take seriously, someone who won't scare you off with too much intensity or too many stories of a version of herself that no longer fits. It's easy to misunderstand this. One might assume she's being inauthentic, but in truth she's offering you what she thinks you want to see. A version of herself that fits into your world. Younger women often carry the quiet fear that they'll be seen as too inexperienced or too impulsive for a man who has lived more, seen more, and expects more. So instead of asking you to come down to their level, they attempt to rise up to yours. This doesn't mean she isn't sincere. It means she's adapting, evolving, and trying to match the tone you've set. When she downplays her immaturity, it's not just about hiding past behaviors. It's about creating compatibility, minimizing the emotional age gap, and signaling that she's ready for something deeper than the thrill of the moment. You might notice she no longer brags about reckless adventures, but instead talks about books she's reading or places she wants to travel, not to escape, but to explore with intention. She softens her image because she senses that with you, authenticity isn't loud or chaotic. It's calm, thoughtful, even graceful in your presence. She doesn't feel the need to be the most exciting woman in the room. She wants to be the one who makes you pause, the one who makes you wonder who she really is beneath the curated image. And even if she's still working out parts of herself, she wants you to see the version of her that's striving for more than temporary fun. So when she says, "I used to be different, but I've changed," pay attention to what she's really telling you. She's not hiding. She's hoping that the man you are is someone who can see who she's becoming and not judge her for who she once was, hoping that the maturity she's showing is enough to keep your attention, and hoping that in your steadiness she can find the kind of relationship that offers not just passion, but peace. Because to a woman like that, being understood is more important than being impressive, and the man who sees through her polished words to the sincerity behind them, the one who listens without needing to correct and accepts without needing her to perform, becomes unforgettable. She may have once chased excitement, but with you, she craves something entirely different. She wants to slow down, breathe deeply, and be seen for all that she is and all she's trying to. Understanding the signals become understanding. The signals that younger women give to older men isn't about playing detective. It's about tuning into subtle shifts in behavior that often speak louder than words. Many older men spend years second-guessing themselves, unsure if what they're seeing is real interest or just politeness. But the truth is, younger women who are drawn to older men don't always feel comfortable being direct instead. When they show their attraction in ways that are easy to miss, if you're not paying close attention, and even easier to misinterpret, if you doubt your own value when a younger woman readily agrees with your preferences or lets you take the lead in decision, she isn't being passive or indifferent. She's showing difference, respect, and trust. When she shifts her language, dials up her vocabulary, or suddenly shows an interest in topics that you're passionate about. She's not just making conversation. She's reaching up, trying to meet you at your level, hoping you'll see her as more than just someone younger. When she dresses more conservatively around you, acts more composed, or pulls back from loud youthful behaviors, it's not because she's lost her spark. It's because she wants you to see her as someone serious, someone worth considering. None of this means she's pretending to be someone she's not. Quite the opposite. She's showing you the version of herself she believes aligns with the world you live in. Not because she's insecure, but because she sees you as someone worth impressing, someone who carries the wisdom, composure, and experience that younger men often lack, and yet far too many older men sabotage these opportunities by shrinking back. They worry about seeming creepy, or feel they need to apologize for their age. But confidence, not age, is what makes the difference. A man who stands firmly in who he is, calm, certain, and emotionally grounded, is far more attractive than one who doubts the value of his years. So if you're an older man who's ever found himself wondering if that younger woman is interested, stop looking for bold declarations. Start noticing the quieter, more intentional changes in how she shows up around you. Watch for the way she listens more closely, speaks more carefully, or mirrors your energy with surprising maturity. These are not accidents. They are signs of interest, admiration, and potential connection. Remember, attraction doesn't always come wrapped in grand gestures. Sometimes it's found in subtle shifts in tone, in pace, in posture, and most importantly, in the effort someone makes to belong in your world. Give yourself permission to receive that effort. See it for what it is. And if you feel the connection is mutual, respond with clarity, kindness, and confidence. Have you ever missed these signs in your own experience or noticed them in hindsight and realize what they meant? I invite you to share your thoughts and stories in the comments below. Your perspective might just help someone else recognize a connection they would have otherwise overlooked. And if you found value in this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss out on more conversations like this. Thoughtful, grounded, and rooted in real human connection. Until next time, stay aware, stay confident, and always honor the power of presence.